What up, tube? What are we doing today? The Alfa's in the garage because we're going to add something that's kind of performance oriented. Let's take a look at it. Well, hold on, let's turn the camera around. Alright, so we picked up a Damond Motorsports oil catch can because it's a turbo car. I've had a lot of turbo cars in the past. And I always like to add an oil catch can on to take out some of those oil vapors, you know, before they go back in the engine, just a little cleaner air running through. And it's drainable. This is a really cool unit. You can drain it right there. We're going to run a hose from the bottom of this down so when we do our oil services, we can just drain it. And these are your pre-lines with the correct fittings. We're going to reclamp that. I'll go through all that. First, we got to get to the area where it goes into. The sticker's missing because I did buy this secondhand from one of the guys in the group, and the decal was kind of messed up, so we cleaned it off. Let's get to it. Test. All right, first things first, we got to take these dudes off. You know, these little plastic doohickey, careful, these are actually attached, but they can break. And then they're not attached, but these little, gosh dang it, come on, Miguel. I don't want to use the screwdriver. There we go. There's 2mm bolts there. I have so many of these. Y'all know I like my electric ratchet. Sure you don't lose them. Stay organized. Grab these. I made the mistake before of taking a cover off with the bolts sitting in the holes and launching the bolts into who knows where. So be careful with the back part here. You do not want to snap this line. Just put your hand back here and pop up nice and careful. And that is it. Alright, so we're going to take this heat shield off, and one hose is going to connect here, the other one's going to connect down there. I'll bring some light in to show you, and the canister is going to sit right here. It's not a super hard install. Let's get it. Alright, got a little bit of light in here. Hopefully you can see that. There's two bolts, one here and one here, but before we do that, we want to take this clamp off right there, and this little plastic clamp off right there, so we don't break those hoses. Let's go. Just going to use a flathead, and they just come apart, or they break. In that situation, no biggie. We'll use a zip tie. They're just holding them in place so things don't move around. This clamp is held on by that bolt, and yeah, I'm just looking carefully because again, we don't want to damage anything. I think we got it. There you go. Exposed. That's what it looks like. This isn't going back on according to Damond Motorsports. This won't be going back on. But, so yeah, so this little plastic piece I broke isn't going to be a big deal. We're going to make sure that those hoses don't go anywhere. And bolt it all back together when I do. And I will let you see when we get there. Alright, this is the hose that you take off, and just so you don't break anything. You're not really going to reuse this, but I don't like to break parts if I don't have to, or, you know, we just like to be good about it. The way these go on, they're quick disconnect. So you push this top side and it opens the clamps. So if you look at that, that releases it. See, it expands the inside and releases it. Probably see it better on this one. Expands it and releases. See? So push this in and wiggle out. That's it. The new ones they send you are exactly the same. Alright, so we are going to, oh, we took it off already. There's a little nut that goes there. It's sitting up in our little tray, and that's where the bracket's going to go. Now there's a ground here, and this is where Damond Motorsports puts it on. This is where a few other people that have done this have put it on, so I know it's going to work. And yeah, from there, we're going to bolt this on, and we're going to run the lines. But I'm going to do something different with the lines. Alright, I'm not a big fan of worm clamps. I mean, they work. I used them in the past, but if you can get away with a better clamp that doesn't cut into the hose, that's better. Now, these are included in the kit. Nothing against Damond or the previous owner of this kit. This is what he used, and, you know, they tightened it well. It's not damaged or anything. But what I'm going to do is put ear hose clamps on it because I just like it better. So, let's get it. This is an ear hose clamp, and it's just going to give it more of an OEM look to it. And the assortment kit was like 25 bucks on Amazon. It comes with the tool. And again, this is the top side. So this is what's going to release. So I'm going to put it right about there. And then use this fancy schmancy tool. And it just kind of clips right onto there. And you're just going to squeeze it. And I'm going to move it a little here because I moved it out of place. There we go. And you just squeeze it. And that's it. So you want to choose the ear hose clamp that's just barely bigger than this one, than the hose you're working on. So you can squeeze it down and it doesn't move. And again, it's just an OEM look and it spreads the clamping force more equally over the area and it doesn't cut into the hose, you know, with the worm style clamp does, or like the worm style clamp does. I'm going to finish these up and show you the final. Alright, all done. I think they look great. You can see the ends are done here. It's ready to go on. I did double check to make sure they were in the right direction before I put them in. You know, we test fit and bring it out. I'm not going to bore you with all that. So that way, these aren't hard to take off. It's just, you know, why do the work twice, right? Alright. So this is what you get. A huge assortment of a lot of sizes from real little to real big. And as I mess all this up, you also get the tool. About 25 bucks on Amazon. I don't use a lot of these, but I figured I wanted a clean OEM look, so why not go with it? So, yeah, earworm clamps. This kit, it's 130 piece. You get a lot. So, I'll put a link down in the description for it. Now here comes the snake game of putting this on. The top hose goes to the lower fitting on the engine. The bottom one goes to the top one on the top of the engine. So, let's make sure, and I already did this once. And make sure this ground does not fall off, or you put it back on. Because once this is, it is. So this is just going to snake over and pop in. This is going to snake to the top and pop in. Give it a nice little tug. Make sure they're in. Very nice. All right. All done. It's mounted. You can see it. Okay, I'm going to bring you in a little closer here. Nothing wrong with the kit. But, let me get that towel out of the way. It's mounted here. Make sure that ground is sandwiched, or else you're going to have problems with your ECU. There is clearance between here and this hose, but it's real tight. And I did have to bend it just a tad because the open and close valve of the drain was touching the alternator, and I do not want that. So I'm gonna play with this just a bit. I don't like that clearance. Let me come back. I ended up moving it over to the inner hole. That worked best for my application. So the bracket's still attached here, but I moved it over one hole. So you see that one's empty. And that gave me plenty of clearance down there, way clearance away from this hose, and a finger's worth of clearance between the ECU and the catch can. Now this doesn't move, so I'm really not afraid of that hitting the ECU. Now the heat shield does not go back on. Why? Because it doesn't fit. But it's not really a heat shield, it's sound deadening. According to Ricky at Modded and also Damond Motorsports, they said, yeah, so the people running it aren't just running it. Apparently it's sound deadening for whatever reason. I think it's because the multi-air is loud as heck, because it's direct injection and these type of engines are just loud. But no big deal. I think it'll be fine. I'm going to button things up and come back. Alright, one last update. Double check your work before you button it all up. I ran this hose over this one, and I did not like the way that looked. It was putting a lot of pressure in this area, and I didn't like it. So I double checked myself, went to Damond Motorsports' website, and saw that this tube ran over these hoses. So took it off, ran it under, put it here. I added that. It's just a reinforcement. It's just me. Sorry. But yeah, other than that, everything's good. I'm going to put it all back together now for reals. Alright, everything's buttoned up. Everything went back on as it should. And you can see the catch can right there. It's not very visible, but you know it's there. Double check your work. It's a cool piece. It's going to work nice. When you take your under panel off to do your oil changes, you can just open the valve and drain it. All done. Looks OEM. Hope you all enjoyed it. First kind of performance part. We got other stuff coming. You know what? Nah, not on this one. Have a great week. God bless.